So many men are prioritizing their career and their success in their career over everything else in life, over everything that should matter to them and that they probably value more than their career. Now, when we look at studies that are done amongst older people that have been questioned about whether they had any regrets in life, there is this very consistent topic of them regretting not necessarily the big choices that they made, but the prioritization. So how much time they allocated to the things or how much time they spent with certain activities. And the number one thing that they say is typically that they regret working so much and not spending more time with their family and with their friends, with their loved ones. Now, I was never really influenced by reading these things because I just kind of enjoy working and I enjoy doing what I do. And if you're anything like me, if you're the type of guy that just has a vision, has a goal and likes to get after it, then most likely you're not going to be impressed by a study like that. Meaning you will probably tell yourself, well, that's just what I like doing and I won't regret it. And that's what it all comes down to. What do we value most in life? If you truly understand what you value, i.e. what your values are, and you created a vision that is rooted in those values, then the likelihood of you regretting any of these big things is relatively low. And if you haven't done that yet, don't know how to do it, I'm going to link a video somewhere here that I made on the topic of how to understand your values and how to create a vision from that. There's a whole system to it that I have summarized in there. Go watch that and go do that, because having a clear understanding of what you want and where you're going and how you're going to get there is really essential to making the right decisions if you already have a very busy life. Now, one thing that I never wanted to be is a hippie, a guy that's just floating around and like figuring things out and happy to not do too much and just chilling and going about his day and seeing what happens. I really like to have this thing that I'm working towards, getting after it and really doing the best I can. Now, my background is really working in corporate law. I'm a corporate lawyer. I worked in a tier 1 corporate law firm where I routinely worked 60 hours minimum, but many weeks would more be 70, 80 hours, sometimes even 90 or 100, like really crazy work weeks. And the thing is, if you work a week like this, and I'm sure many of you know this, if you work in consulting, if you work in management, if you own a business, if you're a lawyer, you just know the stress that comes with it. You know what it feels like to work these insane work hours, and you know how little time is left at the end of the day to do the things that we would like to do, whether it's spending time with our family or spending time working on our body, making sure that we're healthy when we get older, making sure that we're in great shape. So for me, understanding what my values are, creating a vision for myself, I realized that it was very important to be in the best shape of my life when I'll be in my 50s. Doesn't necessarily mean that I will be in better shape in my 50s than when I was in my early 30s, but it will mean, or it does mean for me, that when I'm in my 50s, I want to be in the best shape possible for that point in my life, meaning that I have to make sure that I eat relatively healthy, that I train appropriately, and I can just make sure that when I'm in my 50s, I still feel great and ideally also still look great, because let's not neglect that part. For me at least, it's quite important. And my ideal goal would be getting there in a way where also throughout my 30s and 40s, I will be in extremely good shape and have a great physique aesthetically, right? Because I think, and everybody has their own opinion on this point, but I think the aesthetic part is also relatively important. Just looking as good as you can look, it has a crazy impact on how other people treat you, on how you feel about yourself. When you look at yourself in the mirror and you think, yep, that dude looks like he's in great shape. It increases your confidence, it boosts everything in your mindset to just see the results of the work you put in. Now, how do I balance it with work? And that's really the complicated question here, because back when I was working in this tier 1 law firm, I literally had no time, but I had this long-term vision. So I made this plan that, yeah, I wouldn't be able to train as hard as other people. I would not be a fitness dude. And sometimes I was jealous of these people that just had the time to do what they want to do every day and just go to the gym 3 hours a day. But that just wasn't me. So what I did instead is I created this long-term plan. I want to be in the best shape of my life in my 50s, and I'm not a fitness guy, but I can be the guy who consistently works towards this long-term plan. Train 3 days a week, train decently well, not 3 hours, but a 45-minute consistent, well thought through training. Eat decently well. I also didn't want to be this guy who constantly counts every single calorie. I wanted to be someone who generally eats healthy, but allows himself to have some fun here and there. You know, eat out with a client, eat out with friends, party on a Friday night. That was all part of my overall plan, because there's no point in me becoming this extremely boring old dude who cannot eat anything, cannot ever have fun, cannot ever have a drink. That's just not how my life works. And we all know someone like this, right? We all know this guy who counts every single calorie, never drinks alcohol, never really has fun in life. And I did not want to be that guy. Now, just a quick side note, if you're already in your 50s or 60s and you're telling yourself, well, I wish I had started when I was in my 20s, when I was in my 30s, when I was in my 40s. There is this proverb, I don't remember exactly how it goes, but it's something along the lines of the best time to start was yesterday, and the second best time is today. So if you haven't started back then, just know that 1 year of dedicated work and effort can change everything. Doesn't mean that if you put in a year of work now, you will be in the same place that you had been in had you started 20 years ago and taken more care of yourself, worked harder on having a great physique. But you can get into a great position by just putting in a year of effort. Definitely better than if you're not doing anything, and I believe that's what it comes down to in the end, if you haven't been putting in what you needed to be putting in so far. Now I want to make one last point on why I believe that it's really important to be in our best shape, be in the best physical and mental shape that we can possibly be in when we're older. And I just want to make this point from a financial perspective, because I know that many people that are very career driven, that work a lot or tend to maybe work too much by normal society standards, that we are all kind of driven by the idea that we want to create something, usually represented by wealth. And wealth is created, especially when we get older, right? Most billionaires are created in their 50s, 60s. So we want to be in a position where we can still benefit from whatever we create later on, right? And it doesn't have to be $1 billion. It can just be the life that you create, but you want to be able to reap as many rewards as possible from the money you create, the wealth you create, the relationships you create. See your children grow old, because what's the point of it all if you have a family but your wife doesn't really talk to you? What's the point of having children if your kids hate you? There's no point to it, at least from my perspective. You might be thinking something different, but man, if I have kids, I want to have a great relationship with them. I want to be in a position where they call me, tell me what's up in their life, where I go hang out with them, see their children, and just have a great relationship. So just think about it. What are you prioritizing right now? And is that path that you will go down, if you continue applying these priorities, does it lead you to the life that you want to lead 20 years down the line? And that's all it comes down to in the end. Where is the path taking you? Really get clear on that. Get very, very clear on that, because there is no turning around, right? You cannot get time back. You can get money back if you lose it, but time that you've lost, you will never get it back. And so figure out what you want. Think about whether it might be a great idea to become the best version of yourself in your 50s. And if it is, then let's get after it. Let's just fucking get after it. And if you're interested in working with me, there's a link to my calendar below. You can book a call. We'll see if we vibe. I'll see if you're a good match for the coaching, and then I'll be working with you. And otherwise, I'll see you in one of my next videos.